stop talking. Yes, you heard that right. The most powerful way to captivate a man in bed has nothing to do with the words you speak and everything to do with your presence, your confidence, and your energy. If you can master this, you won't need to utter a single sentence. He'll never forget you. There exists a language far more potent than speech. It's the language of energy, connection, and deep intention. A woman who knows how to express through her body can unlock a level of closeness and emotional depth that most people never even approach. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 silent expressions that won't just surprise him, they'll alter the way he perceives you forever. Eye contact isn't just a fleeting glance. It's a declaration. It's one of the strongest tools a woman holds, not only in intimacy, but in everyday life. Yet so few wield it with deliberate intention. Most people look simply to see, but the rare woman, she looks to command. In the most vulnerable moments, the way you look at a man conveys exactly what kind of woman you are. It reveals whether you're hesitant or self-assured, whether you're trying to impress or whether you already know you're impressive. That's why eye contact, when infused with confidence, can completely blow his mind. Without a word, it's a look that doesn't seek validation, it assumes it. And that kind of quiet confidence, it's magnetic. In a noisy world filled with distractions and self-doubt, genuine presence is rare, and eye contact is its clearest expression. When you hold a man's gaze in bed, not shyly, not with uncertainty, but with full awareness of your own value, you're doing something most women never dare to. You're saying, I'm not here to be picked. I've already picked myself. That kind of look carries with it an entire identity. It says you're a woman who knows her worth, a woman who doesn't need to perform, pretend, or compare. You're not afraid to be noticed. You're not scared to take up space. You're not afraid to let him truly feel your essence. And this isn't about being seductive in the stereotypical, often superficial ways we're taught. It's not about fluttering your lashes or trying to mimic what looks sexy. That's shallow. That's a game. This is about something more profound, more elemental. When you hold eye contact during intimacy and don't break it, not out of fear but with rooted certainty, you're meeting him on a level beyond physical. You're saying, I see you, I'm not running, I'm fully here. That level of authenticity dissolves the masks people wear. It makes the moment real, raw. So many women overlook the power of simply looking with meaning, with certainty. It's not a stare, it's a presence. It's the energy of a woman who doesn't flinch, who doesn't avert her gaze because she doubts her beauty, her worth, or her power. She knows she's a gift. And let's be crystal clear. When a man feels that kind of gaze, it's not just arousal he experiences, he feels truly seen. He feels desired, admired, pulled in. In a world where most men are appreciated for what they do, not who they are, being seen deeply is revolutionary. Now you may wonder, but what if I feel unsure? Let me tell you this, your strength doesn't stem from being flawless. It comes from being fully present. You don't need the ideal body. You don't need to have all the experience. You simply need to make the decision to own the moment. Decide that you are already enough and let that certainty radiate from your eyes. Because when you believe it, he will sense it. And when he feels it, he won't ever forget the way you looked at him. That's what leaves an impression. There's something timeless, something primal in a confident woman's eyes. It's not something you pick up from a book or a video. It's ancestral. It's in your DNA. It's in the unshakable strength passed down by the women who came before you. When you channel that force, when you look at a man not with neediness or hesitation, but with calm, quiet conviction, you awaken something in him that's starving for truth, for intensity, for a connection that transcends the surface. And the truth is, this eye contact isn't even about him, it's about you. It's about reclaiming how you view yourself. When you lock eyes during intimacy, you're not just showing him your power, you're reminding yourself of it. You're saying, I'm not small, I'm not hiding, I am fully here. That kind of presence isn't just attractive, it's healing. It builds a kind of inner confidence, that spills over into every part of life. Because once you can look someone in the eye with that kind of fearless presence, there's nothing beyond your reach. So don't undervalue it. Don't dismiss it as a mere glance. Eye contact is your foundation. It's your signal. It's your unspoken proclamation that you are a woman who knows her value and refuses to shrink. It speaks volumes without uttering anything. And when you truly embrace it, you won't just captivate him, you'll open something inside of him, because the eyes aren't just windows to the soul, they're the reflection of it. When you look at him like that, you're not just revealing who you are, you're reflecting the version of himself he longs to be. And that is unforgettable. Breathing is one of the most underestimated elements of intimacy, yet it holds the potential to shift an ordinary experience into something electric, something unforgettable. When a woman breathes with presence, she doesn't just connect to her body, she connects to the now, to her partner, and most significantly, to her inner strength. The reality is, most people don't breathe properly. They restrict it, they rush it, especially during moments of tension, emotion, or vulnerability. But when you slow it down, when you breathe deeply, consciously, something beautiful happens. You ignite, your body responds, your energy sharpens, and he feels every bit of it without you needing to speak. Breath is energy, it's life. It's what separates habit from true presence. When you breathe with intent during intimacy, you give him permission to do the same. You set the pace, you establish the atmosphere, you draw him out of his head and into the moment. And in a society that constantly pushes performance, that kind of grounding presence is rare. Most men are in a constant loop of proving they're doing enough, giving enough, being enough. But when he hears your deep inhale, feels your steady exhale, he instinctively relaxes. He aligns with your rhythm, and suddenly the moment is no longer about doing, it's about being. Think about how your own nervous system reacts when someone next to you breathes deeply and slowly. Your body follows. Your breath syncs up. That's the influence you hold. Your breath becomes a silent dialogue, a message. It tells him, I'm here, I'm present, I feel this. And it's contagious. Your calm becomes his calm. Your focus becomes his focus. You don't need to speak. Your breathing says everything. A woman who breathes with purpose is a woman unafraid of her feelings. She doesn't shy away from intensity, she steps into it. Her breath isn't a habit, it's an expression. It accelerates with joy. It deepens with surrender. And a man can sense every shift. That presence, it's intoxicating. It shows you're not disconnected. You're not drifting off. You're anchored. And that draws him in more deeply than any words could. This doesn't mean you need to overdo it. It's not about theatrical moans or forced sighs. This isn't performance. It's authenticity. It's intention. It's emotional leadership. And yes, it takes courage, especially for women conditioned to be small, to be quiet, to not take up too much space. But hear me now. Your breath is not excessive. Your energy isn't too loud. You weren't meant to disappear. When you breathe boldly and unapologetically, you're reclaiming your presence. You're saying, I deserve to feel, I deserve to be here. I'm not in a hurry. I'm worth slowing down for. That energy doesn't just transform the moment, it transforms you. Because the more you breathe like that, the more you begin to live like that. You walk with intention, you speak with gravity. You stop chasing approval and start embodying connection. You shift from trying to prove yourself to simply being yourself. And here's the truth few will say. A man may recall what you did in bed, but he will never forget how you felt. He will remember the woman who didn't hide, who didn't tense, who didn't shrink. He'll remember how your breathing made him feel grounded, awakened, desired. He'll remember the ambience you created, not with noise, but with presence, with rhythm, with the invisible, undeniable current of a woman who claims her space and her sensuality. So if you want to astound him without uttering a word, start with your breath. Don't exaggerate, don't imitate, just feel. Breathe as though each inhale links you to your inner power and each exhale frees you to surrender. Let your breath articulate what your voice doesn't need to. Let it guide him to a depth that words can't reach. Because once you master that, your presence won't just be unforgettable, it will be unmatched. It means being aware. It means being anchored in your body. It means you're no longer looking to the world or the man in front of you for permission to be seen, to be felt, to be bold. You decide that you are, and you move accordingly. Think about it. How does a queen enter a room? Slowly, gracefully, with poise and authority. She doesn't rush. She doesn't fidget. She doesn't apologize for her presence. She claims it. She carries herself like the space already belongs to her. That same energy applies in the bedroom. When you move with purpose, you're not hurrying. You're not reacting to him. You're not waiting to gauge what he wants first. You're curating the experience. You're leading with your energy, and that becomes unforgettable. This doesn't mean you need to take control of every moment. It means every move, whether assertive or delicate, is charged with meaning. When you touch him, you're intentional. When you shift positions, it's done with awareness. When you draw closer, it isn't a question, it's a declaration. You're saying, I trust myself. I trust my intuition. I trust this experience. That kind of certainty glows from the inside out. It captivates, because there's nothing more attractive to a man than a woman who is fully embodied, not tangled in her thoughts. And here's what starts to shift when you begin moving this way. You begin to feel different too. You stop asking, am I doing this right? And start asking, how do I want to feel in this moment? You stop acting and start connecting. You stop holding back and start creating. And the man in front of you, he feels that shift immediately. He senses the difference between a woman who's unsure and one who's deeply connected to herself. One is searching for direction, the other is the direction. And men, especially grounded, secure men, are drawn like magnets to that energy. But let's look deeper. Why is movement so impactful, so magnetic when done with intention? Because movement is energy in motion, and energy is what creates chemistry, desire, and depth. A woman who moves slowly, confidently, breathing in sync with her body, aligned with her own desire, she becomes unforgettable. She doesn't rush, she doesn't shrink, she doesn't stumble. And even when she slips, she embodies it. She laughs, she recovers, she keeps going, because purposeful movement isn't about being flawless, it's about being intentional. Intentional movement also conveys your standards and boundaries without needing confrontation. When you shift away from something that doesn't feel right with calm clarity, he understands. When you lean into what you love without hesitation, he understands. You become a woman who knows what she wants, and that is magnetic. That says more than words ever could. And remember this, your body is not just a shape or an image, it's a force. Every curve, every movement, every inhale, it's part of the rhythm that is you. When you honor your body, when you move like it matters, he will honor it too. But it begins with you. You can't wait for him to crown you powerful, sensual, worthy. You must crown yourself. You take up that space. And when you do, everything shifts. Ask yourself, when was the last time you moved with full awareness? When was the last time you let your body lead rather than your fears? When was the last time you allowed yourself to feel fully, without apology, without analyzing, without restraint? That is your invitation, to walk into that power, to move like the moment belongs to you, because it does. To stop chasing approval and begin living your value, because when you learn to move with intention, not approval, you don't just stir his senses, you transform your own story, and there is no going back. Silence, it's something that unsettles most people, especially in intimate moments. We exist in a world addicted to noise, non-stop talking, explaining, justifying, overanalyzing. But there is a kind of silence that isn't empty, it's potent. A silence that speaks more than words ever could. A silence that holds weight, electricity, presence. And when a woman can hold that silence in intimacy, she doesn't just intrigue a man, she elevates him. She reaches him on a level beyond the surface. She invites him into a realm few ever touch, a realm of raw, unfiltered connection. This kind of silence is not passive, and it's not awkward. It's not born of doubt or discomfort. It's the silence of a woman who's so deeply rooted in herself that she no longer needs to fill every space to feel valid. She doesn't narrate every emotion or step. She understands that real intimacy often requires fewer words. Sometimes, the most powerful moments are the ones where nothing is spoken, but everything is felt. That silence, it says everything. A woman who becomes fluent in silence learns what many never do, that presence doesn't require chatter, that stillness isn't emptiness, but presence, that holding space instead of rushing to fill it is a mark of deep emotional presence and self-assurance. In bed, this shows up in striking ways. She's not trying to validate his experience. She's not performing to prove herself. She's simply present. Fully. Entirely. And her silence becomes an invitation. An invitation for him to slow down, to deepen, to tune into himself. That kind of silence builds anticipation, mystery, tension. The good kind. It draws him in. It heightens his senses. He becomes more conscious of his breath, his body, his heartbeat. And that is where chemistry ignites. Not in the noise, but in the stillness between touches, the quiet between moments. When silence is carried with conviction, it commands attention. It says, I don't need to explain. I am the experience. But let's be honest, embracing silence takes strength. Many speak because they're nervous. They fill silence because it's too vulnerable. They rush because the stillness feels exposing. But if you want to truly stir a man's soul, to leave a mark most never will, you must learn to breathe through the quiet, to lean into it, to let it do the speaking. Because when you own silence, it stops being emptiness and becomes a form of power. A woman who can hold silence with grace becomes unforgettable, not because she's holding back, but because she's grounded, because she knows her value lies not in her words, but in her presence. And that silence says to him, you're in the presence of something rare. It's the quiet of a woman who's not waiting to be chosen, because she's already chosen herself. It's the stillness of someone who doesn't beg to be seen, because she knows she is worth noticing. And silence, when used well, gives him space. Space to rise, space to meet you, space to explore and show up with his own energy. And when you hold that silence, you become a mirror, reflecting not just who you are, but who he could become in your presence. You raise the energy, not with demands, but with still, unwavering presence. And perhaps most importantly, silence lets you listen to him and to yourself. When you're not constantly reacting or filling time, you can hear your deeper truths. You connect more clearly with your own desires, your instincts, your essence. And that inner clarity creates real-world magic. He feels it in your gaze, in your breath, in the space between your hands. He feels it in the stillness that speaks volumes. So do not fear silence. Learn to move with it, to trust it, to let it guide you. Because when a man is with a woman who can wield silence with presence, he feels something primal, something timeless. He feels drawn in not by sound, but by soul. And that kind of invitation, it doesn't need words. Because once she learns to master silence, everything changes. And then there's touch. Touch. One of the most potent languages we possess, yet so often we touch from habit, not from heart. We touch because it's expected, not because something genuine is moving through us. But when a woman learns to touch with meaning, not out of obligation, that's when everything transforms. That kind of touch awakens a man. It draws him out of the noise, into presence, into feeling. It tells him he's not just desired physically, he's valued deeply. And that is unforgettable. Think about it. We touch people constantly. A hug, a pat, a nudge, it's automatic. But when your hand lingers with awareness, When you touch with emotional presence, it becomes electric. It becomes a message.